One word to describe Caitlin Clark.
Amazing.
Yes.
A beast. She is the truth. And I mean, she's the truth, and she was a rookie, right?
Yeah.
Knock down the three-pointer, get to the rim. She can get to the free throw line. She's crafty.
Yeah, very crafty.
Crafty. So sometimes she's look like she's coming off for a three-point shot, and she backdoors you for a layup.
When asked whether both athletes considered this incident merely a standard basketball move or something more serious than a flagrant violation, the discussion revealed deeper tensions. The contact didn't trouble me personally. It appeared to be an aggressive defensive play. Absolutely. The officials made the correct decision in my view. My concern centered around the aftermath and response to the situation. It was predictable that criticism and negative commentary would emerge regarding this confrontation between Reese and Clark, given the existing animosity toward Clark that runs quite deep. However, the statements made today were truly shocking.
She gets her teammates involved. She can pass. She can shoot. Man, she is the complete basketball player. And you know what I want to see? You know, so many people talked about Sabrina and Steph, you know, with that three-point shooting contest. You know what I want to see in the WNBA All-Star game? I want to see Sabrina Ionescu shoot against Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, me too.
I want to see that three-point shooting contest.
Yeah, facts.
That's dope.
The former champion has returned to the spotlight, and by return, we mean she's revived her criticism of Clark with the intensity of an evangelist at a revival meeting. This latest episode concerns Clark's hard contact on Reese during Indiana's overwhelming 93-58 victory over Chicago. Reese attempted a drive to the basket. Clark wrapped her arms around her opponent like securing a package. Reese tumbled to the floor with more force than the critics' reputation after her countless controversial opinions. Officials assessed Clark a flagrant penalty. Reese received a technical violation for her vocal protests, and the former star was already preparing her lecture on why Clark represents a problem.
And we will all be watching that, no doubt about that at all. So, it's amazing how different somebody like Cynthia Cooper is to Sheryl Swoopes. They played together, but the difference in the hateration, the pettiness, the jealousy that comes from one former player versus the other former player is stark and rattling. And it tells you that Sheryl Swoopes has an agenda.
If you anticipated that the Hall of Famer would insert her perspective here, she demanded that Clark remain in position and confront the situation, keeping in mind that Reese stands approximately 6'4", while Clark measures 6 feet tall. She expressed displeasure that Boston intervened to restrain Reese while Clark departed the scene. What reason exists to physically restrain her?
All right, I think that agenda's got little to do with basketball. All right, I think you see that with a lot of the other players in the league. But honestly, there's not a lot of former players that ever thrash out over Caitlin Clark, far as getting angry, losing it outside of Sheryl Swoopes. It's mostly the players that are playing now. So she was on the All the Smoke podcast. I believe that's the name of it. Yep. With Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes.
The veteran player simply cannot restrain herself. During the highly anticipated matchup between Indiana and Chicago, Clark delivered a collision heard worldwide, a complete aggressive contact that sent Reese tumbling across the hardwood like a pin struck by a bowling ball. The scenario was chaotic. Reese bounced back up like bread from a toaster, furious and prepared for confrontation. She displayed that expression of disbelief, questioning whether this opponent truly just tackled her. However, in an unexpected turn, Clark desired no involvement in the escalating drama, rather than maintaining her position and participating in a sequel to an intense basketball rivalry. Clark simply departed. While some might argue Clark was wrong to walk away, others have legitimate grounds to suggest she should have remained, because experienced players understand that when you intentionally commit a hard foul on someone and anticipate their reaction, you handle the consequences.
So this is very interesting. Of course, just to give you a little backstory here, during Cynthia Cooper's incredible WNBA career, she won 4 consecutive league championships, 4 finals MVPs, 2 WNBA awards, MVP awards, and was a 2-time NC2A champion. She's an all-time great basketball player. I think she's got to be top 5 women's player of all time. I mean, think about that a minute.
Exactly right. Clark executed the hard foul and then casually exited the confrontation as if she had a dinner appointment to keep. She essentially communicated nothing happening here through her body language and strolled away, leaving Reese stunned and seething. She remained cooler than the opposite side of a pillow, walking calmly while chaos threatened to explode behind her. The boldness, or perhaps the tactical approach. Regardless, the audience went wild witnessing her turn her back. Some supporters appreciated the ice-cold confidence. Others expressed disapproval as if she had canceled a holiday celebration. It was absolute madness.
4 consecutive league championships, 4 finals MVPs, 2 WNBA MVP awards, and a 2-time NC2A champion. Wow. I mean, wow. That makes for a stacked trophy case. Also earned her induction into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame in 2009 and the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame in 2010. So, she was asked about Caitlin Clark and her impact. What do you think? Now, there are 2 separate...
The podcast discussion returned with increased intensity, enhanced scope, more unreasonable, and more foolish than previously. Welcome back to the conversation. We certainly missed the commentary. Clark delivered aggressive contact and walked away. It was a basketball maneuver. Foul committed. You're not completing this scoring attempt. Departed the scene. That's the conclusion. Reese stood up, but before she could eliminate the distance and deliver whatever confrontation she had planned, Boston assumed the role of mediator. Boston rushed forward and positioned herself between the 2 players. During this intervention, she accidentally provided Reese with a slight backward push. Nothing soothes a tense situation quite like an additional shove, correct? Officials blew their whistles. Team benches were placed on high alert. Supporters rose to their feet. It was complete chaos mixed with comedy. You couldn't write this scenario better for reality television if you attempted.
videos involving this, and I think we're going to play both of them here. Listen to this.
One word to describe Caitlin Clark.
Amazing.
Yes.
A beast. She is the truth. And I mean, she's the truth, and she was a rookie. Right?
Yeah.
Knock down the 3-pointer, get to the rim. She can get to the free throw line. She's crafty.
Yeah, very crafty.
Crafty. So sometimes she's look like she's coming off for a 3-point shot and she backdoors you for a layup. She gets her teammates involved. She can pass. She can shoot. Man, she is the complete.
A Hall of Famer doesn't simply criticize Clark. She crafts it like a sommelier pairing wine with cheese. The veteran has spent months examining Clark's performance, her attitude, and probably her pregame music selection. Following the Reese incident, she went completely scorched. On her podcast, she accused Clark of reckless entitlement, claiming she departed like she owned the entire league after the foul. Never mind that Clark does control the league's ticket sales, merchandise revenue, and highlight reels. But certainly, let's pretend this concerns sportsmanship and not a personal vendetta against the league's star attraction.
There's more here.
And people are really seeing how special women's sports are.
You had a quote that said, "One thing I'm proud of about my journey is I never got bitter."
Yeah, man. You know, sometimes when you see all this money they making and you know you didn't make it, and you know they have Unrivaled, and for Unrivaled I have to go back overseas and get some money, you know.
The former champion harbors such jealousy toward Clark and will advocate for aggressive behavior against her. She appeared on the podcast discussing how she approved of the foul, but disapproved because Clark walked away from Reese when Reese was pursuing her and Boston had to intervene. Additionally, she had issues with Boston stepping in. Therefore, she wanted Clark to remain stationary and absorb whatever Reese planned to deliver. Furthermore, she's now advocating for the All-Star Game to be relocated from Indiana. The WNBA legend and Clark's primary critic on the planet represents that one individual who always has commentary at family gatherings, regardless of the subject. That's the veteran whenever Clark's name surfaces. The moment this foul occurred, you could practically hear her preparing her response and warming up her social media fingers. She didn't require an invitation. She created her own opportunity. Within hours, her commentary was circulating widely. She arrived more heated than hot sauce.
You can become like a little jealous.
Yep.
Like, I wish I was.
A hater.
I wish I was there. A little hater.
Yep.
You can become a hater, but not me. I love it. Like, I love everything that they're getting. They deserve it. I love the fact that, you know, the walking into the arena has become the new red carpet, you know, and I love that they're able, the athletes are able to showcase not just the talents on the court, but who they are off the court.
The former star joined the podcast and criticized Clark like she was delivering a locker room motivational speech, except the only thing she wanted to motivate was public criticism. She stated, "I don't have a problem with the foul. My issue was with all the other stuff. Stand in it. Don't walk away." In other words, how dare Clark commit an aggressive move and then not remain for the continuation? The veteran essentially scolded Clark for avoiding the confrontation she herself created. It's like shouting about a food fight in a cafeteria, throwing something, and then escaping before anyone can retaliate. She was not accepting it. She practically wanted Clark to plant her feet, expand her chest, and declare, "Yes, I fouled you hard. What about it?" The Hall of Famer wants to witness degenerate behavior. She wants to see bottom-tier activity. She wants to see nonsense occurring on the court. If it was an aggressive foul, why would Reese react the way she did? If it was just a hard foul, merely a basketball play, why would Reese respond in that manner?
0 for 4 from the free throw line. All in the clutch. All free throws that mattered. 0 for 4. Missed an easy bunny. An easy bunny for a game winner. And then the ball got hit to her for mid and looked like she shot the ball with two hands and bricked the midi. Aaliyah going 1 or 2 from the line, but you don't question anything with Aaliyah. She was exceptional. Aaliyah was exceptional in this game. Kelsey was exceptional. Caitlin was exceptional.
To escalate the situation further, the veteran added that if Reese or anyone else had executed the identical foul on Clark, the narrative would be different. Here we go with the classic double standard alert sounding. According to her perspective, Clark is the protected child who escapes consequences, while other players would be criticized for the same action. In her view, Clark receives gentle treatment from media and fans. Essentially, she served up a heated plate of Clark's protected while others are disrespected to the discussion table. You could almost observe the satisfaction in her expression as she said it, like this was the gotcha moment she'd been waiting to deliver. Buy it. Let's acknowledge that the veteran might be operating the anti-Clark campaign vehicle, and she's been eagerly waiting at the stop for more passengers to join.
I don't know what inbounds play they ran. Whatever inbounds play they ran, whatever inbounds play they decided to run, I'm going to be honest. Whatever inbounds play they decided to run was the worst inbounds play I've ever seen. The only pass that was on was Caitlin Clark throwing a inch-perfect pass to Natasha Howard. And Natasha Howard goes in, gets blocked on a hook shot, gets it again, has a layup, misses the layup, the ball gets landed into her, and she misses a wide-open midi. She missed 3. She missed 3 chances to win that game.
If you're gonna foul, own it. Stand by it. What do they say in that classic movie? What did the characters say? Put him up. Put him up. Is that what the Hall of Famer wanted to happen? Do these individuals simply want to witness Clark get physically injured? Did we not see her get hurt enough last season? Let's imagine a scenario. Clark, instead of walking away, instead of being separated by her teammate, remains there, and what occurred? Reese confronts Clark aggressively, demonstrating her mental instability, showing her immaturity, revealing her degenerate behavior. Is that what you wanted to happen?
DeWanna Bonner with 0 points and minus 19 in a 1-point loss. But you know what? It's a long regular season. It's a long season. It's a long season. I don't know why Caitlin Clark was inbounding the ball at the end, but you know what? She was going to be used as a decoy. She was going to be used as a decoy.
Now remember, the veteran is a 4-time champion, a Hall of Famer, the original of originals. She's earned the right to express her opinions, but wow, her mind seems to have a permanent reservation at the Critique Clark party for one. This isn't the first occurrence either. At this point, her disagreement with Clark is more substantial than a double cheeseburger at a county fair. Remember last season when Clark was breaking rookie records and hitting logo shots like layups? The veteran went on record downplaying it, basically saying, call me when she does this against real competition. She's that person who, if Clark cured cancer, would complain she put oncologists out of work. The bias feels so real and so baseless that fans have started questioning if Clark accidentally ran over her pet or something. It's that personal. The veteran looks at Clark's highlights like a strict school principal watching a class clown, arms folded, unimpressed, and ready to hand out detention. She has so much hatred in her heart for this 6-foot white player dominating everything in the league.
And honestly, the Fever down the stretch, they lost it from the free throw line. They lost this game from the free throw line. They're 1-1 in the regular season. It is what it is. Look, the only thing I will say is that you learn a lot. And if you guys agree that it's not the end of the world, it's not the end of the world, subscribe. We are trying to hit 46.3k by the end of the day. If we could do it, that would be insane. And
let's discuss Clark's superstar appeal in this equation because it's the giant elephant in the room. This game was the highly anticipated rematch, and it certainly lived up to expectations. The ratings for that Indiana-Chicago game broke local records. Tickets were resold at outrageous prices because everyone wanted to witness these two compete in the professional ranks. We're talking about an atmosphere electric enough to power Indianapolis for a week. 15,000 fans in the arena and probably several million more tuning in, all for a regular season game in May. Why, Clark? That's why. She's a walking box office success. She could play a pickup game in a parking lot and 5,000 people would appear with lawn chairs. The Clark effect is so real that when she fouls someone, it leads sports talk shows and apparently inspires Hall of Famers to deliver soapbox speeches.
Anyone in the stream, we're watching the video. If we could get 1,000 likes, that would be absolutely fantastic. But again, this is my raw reactions to this. I just think I'm not going to lie, this was a coaching disaster class from Stephanie White.
One word to describe Clark: amazing, a beast. She is the truth. And she was a rookie. Knock down the three-pointer, get to the rim. She can reach the free throw line. She's crafty, very crafty. Sometimes she appears to be preparing for a three-point shot and she backdoors you for a layup. She gets her teammates involved. She can pass. She can shoot. She is a complete player. This is the kind of superstar appeal we usually discuss with names like LeBron or Steph. But here she is in the WNBA stirring up passion like it's the finals. So on one hand, you have Clark's massive popularity and talent fueling genuine growth in the women's game. She's selling out arenas, inspiring kids, making highlight reels routine. And on the other hand, you have critics like the veteran who seem almost irritated by it. It's the classic bright new star versus grumpy old guard dynamic. The veteran comes off like the grizzled player in a sports movie who just can't stand the cocky rookie phenom. We're basically living a sports movie meets drama. And trust me, the irony isn't lost. By constantly verbally attacking Clark, the veteran is kind of proving just how big a deal Clark is. If a 4-time champion is devoting this much energy to criticize you, you've clearly arrived. Clark's living rent-free in her head at this point with a deluxe suite and complimentary breakfast.
But I don't care about a coaching disaster class in game 2. I don't care. Natasha Howard currently is on a 9 miss free throw from the free throw line. She has missed 9 straight free throws. 9 straight. And she's in the game on the last play for God knows what reason. Because I would have just played hack-a-shack on her.
Go grab your own teammate. Don't come grab my teammate. So where Boston went over to Reese and was kind of like, we ain't gonna do that. Like, to me, you gotta go get your own teammate. I didn't have a problem with the foul. I thought it was a hard foul. I thought the refs got it right, and then you keep on playing. I got issues with all the other stuff that came along with that. Not that foul. What about the 2 players at the center of the storm? How are Reese and Clark themselves handling this mayhem with a whole lot more maturity than the frenzy around them? It turns out, after the game, both of them tried to pour water on the fire. Reese told reporters it was just a hard basketball play. Refs handled it. Let's move on. Translation: no hard feelings. I left the drama on the court. Clark, cool as a cucumber in the press conference next to Boston, echoed the sentiment, basically saying nothing personal, no malice. Let's not turn this into some soap opera. Clark even expressed confusion at the flagrant upgrade, essentially saying she was just playing tough defense, not auditioning for a linebacker spot. It's almost funny the two young stars themselves tried to hit the brakes, but the media and internet had already floored the gas pedal and broken off the brake lever.
I don't know why she's in the game last play. And look, not her game. Look, I think Natasha Howard she's going to be a player. I think she's going to be a player. I thought she was good against Chicago. But like when you have 6 points, 4 turnovers, 4 fouls, and go 0 for 4 from the free throw line, and on those free throws, she missed some open layups.
Just about every single analyst and pundit in the basketball community has been offering takes regarding Clark's flagrant foul on Reese during the May 17th game between Indiana and Chicago. Not only was the foul itself noteworthy, it really wasn't. There are people trying to claim some kind of random different angle showed up. I've watched that repeatedly, the original angle and then this new angle. I'm not entirely sure this new angle I'm seeing isn't artificial. Of course, leave it to the Hall of Famer to find something in that too. She commented on everything from Clark walking away to Boston stepping in. She even nitpicked Boston, saying, "Get your own teammate, don't grab mine," essentially critiquing that Boston went to face off with Reese instead of corralling Clark. The veteran was dissecting that whole mini brawl like it was historical footage. If you didn't know better, you'd think she was auditioning for a role as the official WNBA drama critic. Give her a magnifying glass and a note. She's breaking down interpersonal dynamics on the court like she's recapping an episode of reality television. Meanwhile, the crowd and fan reactions in real time were a show unto themselves. Remember, this game was in Indianapolis, home turf for Clark's team, and Boston, and half the state of Iowa who probably drove over to see their hometown hero. But focusing back on the incident, the vast majority of fans were simply soaking up the spectacle. And you know what? They'll be back for more. This whole incident, the foul, the flare-up, the veteran soap opera, the social media melee, it's only pumping more oxygen into the Clark versus Reese rivalry. The next time Chicago and Indiana face off, you better believe it's circled in red on everyone's calendar with multiple asterisks. It's the hottest ticket in the league. Now let's not miss the forest for the trees here. Clark is a megastar, and megastars get mega reactions. Some people will love you to the moon. Some will find any reason to drag you back down to earth. It comes with the territory of shining bright. I have no issue with any of it. It's just basketball that's soft right now on both sides of it. That's not a flagrant foul. That's not a flagrant hard foul. Reese's push was much harder. It was. Not the initial part, but Clark later on pushed her. They were just trying to get control of the game. That's not correct. They weren't trying. Listen, they've called softer flagrant fouls in the NBA. I said it's all soft. So that's a flagrant foul. That's not a flagrant foul. For every sold-out arena chanting MVP when Clark steps to the free throw line, there's a veteran side-eyeing in the wings, ready to throw shade on her parade. It's the yin and yang of superstardom. In a weird way, it's almost complimentary. You're not truly at the top until someone who used to be there can't stop nitpicking you. And make no mistake, the veteran's critiques, however over the top, only keep Clark's name in headlines longer. There's that old saying, there's no such thing as bad publicity, and Clark's PR team is probably sending the critic a thank you card as we speak with a coupon to a vision clinic, because clearly she can't see how great Clark is. The Hall of Famer can hate, but here's the truth. Clark is the WNBA's oxygen. Without her, the league suffocates in obscurity. The flagrant foul, a blip, the backlash. Noise. Clark's already moved on, prepping for her next game, while the veteran preps her next podcast rant. The lesson: legends aren't made by tearing others down, they're built by lifting the game up. Clark's doing that every night. The critic is just yelling into a void.